Hey, it's Scott Petrak with another episode of the Brown Zone Coverage Podcast. Ready or not, the season is upon us. The NFL kicks off tonight, and the Browns on Sunday at home versus the Bengals. Outside expectations are low for the Browns, but the opener is a time for optimism, at least inside the organization. Here to discuss, as always, is Dave Chudowsky of the WKYC Morning News. What's going on, Chud?
Here we go, Scott. What did I say a couple of weeks ago or even a month or two ago? Before we knew it, it would be game week and we'd be talking about week one. It goes fast, and here we are. I'm excited tonight. Cowboys and Eagles on
Yep.
Channel 3, NBC, cheap plug for my network.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Then you got a game tomorrow. You got Chargers and Chiefs. Um, that's out of the country. And then a big one Sunday night. I think you got what, Bills, and is it Bills and Ravens on
Bills,
Sunday?
Ravens. There's a ton of good games. The Lions, Packers play this week.
Yeah,
It's a big week one.
it really is. And of course, we got our Brownies and Bengals. They did it 2 years ago. Remember when the Browns won that big one in the opener on the
Yep.
way to the playoffs? So, obviously we're excited for that. We're taping this on Thursday. I'll be live at the stadium, Huntington Bank Field, tomorrow morning for our morning show. I'll be there for like 4 hours with our new stream that we do. We're on from 5 a.m., 4:30 a.m. until
Oh,
9. So I'm excited for that. So I just got the juices flowing. I think everyone's excited. I guess my first question to you is, what have the vibes been like in Berea as far as this team? I mean, do you sense that they are ready? And I know they'll tell you they're ready, but
sure.
just from what you've seen in training camp and the things they're saying, you've been around long enough to, get the good or bad vibes. Do you feel good vibes?
I do, Chud. I mean, I mentioned it in the outset. The vibes are obviously better inside the building um, than they are outside, right? I mean, that's just, you can't go anywhere and find a lot of people that are positive about what the Browns are going to do. And I do feel the vibe, the attitude is different inside the building. And it goes back, we've talked about it a bunch, Chud. It goes back to the increased sense of urgency, um, the better tempo at practice. I think Kevin Stefanski made an effort or made it an emphasis early on in the offseason. And has continued it throughout the offseason is they got to, they garnered this hard and toughness motto, but they have to build up for it. They have to be ready week one. Before week one, they have to get ready for week one. And not that they didn't always do that, but it's definitely been more intense this offseason, this training camp, than in past years, specifically last year. And I think that has the team in the right mindset. I think having Joe Flacco as quarterback helps the confidence of the team. And, I'm sure there's doubts, right? And those are understandable. We all know the doubts. That's why, the over-under is so low. If you're trying to bet this team in Vegas for the win total for the season. But inside, I think they point to reasons for optimism. And Flacco's one of them. Obviously, Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, they think they can have a really big time defense that can help carry this team. So I think they're in a good state of mind heading into Sunday against the Bengals. Now, it's interesting. I listened to Zach Taylor down in Cincinnati yesterday, and it's almost a parallel track because Cincinnati's gotten off to such bad starts recently that they put a lot in to being ready for week one. So we're going to have to see how that plays out.
Mhm. Scott, I was going to save this for my prediction, but one thing I got to say is, let's not forget, this is a team that went to the playoffs 2 years ago, a two-time NFL Coach of the Year. It's not like this is all new. I mean, they know how to win because they've done it. Now, granted, they know how to lose as well because they've done that as well. But if their defense can come back and be a little
Yeah.
bit, well, not a little bit, a lot more like it was 2 years ago, and they go back to that scheme of running the ball and setting up Stefanski's
Mhm.
offense, I mean, I think they could surprise some people.
I mean, that's certainly the recipe, Chud. And I agree with you. I think it's possible. We'll get to the predictions later, but I think they're going to exceed the 4.5 or 5.5. Now it's not guaranteed, and I could paint you a scenario that goes the other way, and they come in under it. But I think they'll be better running the ball. They still have an issue without Quinshon Judkins, and that's concerning given that they were counting on him when they drafted him to be the guy week one. And we'll see if Obviously it's Thursday we're taping this. He's unsigned as of now. Even if he signs this week, I can't imagine he plays Sunday. So at least one game without him, if not more. We don't know if there's any punishment coming from the league. That's a whole other issue with Judkins. But they've recommitted the run game. It'll be interesting to see if that still works without Judkins. I think it still has a chance. I like Jerome Ford a little better than most people. I think Dylan Sampson's got a lot of potential. Now, he can't be your workhorse game in and game out, but can he do it for a short time? Yes, he did it at Tennessee last year. He led the SEC in carries, yards, and touchdowns. So he's done it even at whatever he is, 5'8", 5'9", and 200 pounds. The defense we both talked about, that's going to be the key. And then it's turnovers, Chud. They were so bad in the turnover margin last year that it just robbed them of chances to win games all season long. And if they get back to just even, that flips, I don't know, is it 2, is it 3 wins from last year to this year? So now a lot of that depends on Joe Flacco. A lot of that depends on Denzel Ward catching all those pass breakups that aren't interceptions. But those are, to me, the big keys to this team exceeding what all those low expectations are.
What do you think is a better chance? That the offense breaks out with Flacco and scores over 20 points more than how many times did they do it last year? Once? I don't know.
I'm going to have to look that up, but it wasn't a lot.
Yeah. What's a better chance? Their offense surprises or their defense goes back to form of 2 years ago?
Oh, I think it's a defense, Judd. I'll talk about the defense first. I have one major question about the defense, and I'm looking up right now. They scored 20 points 3 times. 32 against the Broncos, they lost. 24 against the Steelers, they won. And 29 against the Ravens when they won. And that was it.
Okay.
My concern about the defense is the depth at corner. With Martin Emerson Jr. being lost for the season with that torn Achilles, it moves Greg Newsome to the outside. And I think you can make an argument that Greg Newsome is as good as Martin Emerson Jr. A lot of people wouldn't buy that, but he certainly thinks he is. Anyway, let's just say that's comparable. So you have Denzel Ward, you have Greg Newsome the second. The question is, can Cam Mitchell or Miles Harden or whoever winds up being in the slot at that nickelback position be as good as Newsome was? And even when Newsome struggled over the last couple of years, these guys don't have the resume that Greg Newsome has. Mitchell's a 5th-round pick. Harden's a 7th-round pick. And Newsome's a 1st-round pick. So there's a chance there's a drop-off there. And it's going to be tested right out of the gate because the Bengals run so much 3-wide receiver packages. They've gone games where that's all they do. So that nickelback, whether or not it's one guy or they split reps or however they do it, it's going to be out there a lot. Maybe they slide Newsome in some and they go with a different corner on the outside, but whoever that corner would be inexperienced. So that's my one question on defense, and it's a legitimate question. But I really love the defensive line, and that's where it starts. And if you get to the quarterback, your corners have to cover less. Carson Schwarzenegger has really impressed me at linebacker. I didn't love the pick when they took him at 33. He really won me over, and I think he's got a chance to make an impact right away. So I think the defense has a chance to get back into that top 10. I really do. The offense, I think I probably have more faith in Joe Flacco than some people do, but I question the receiver core after Jerry Jeudy. I like the tight ends, but I need to see the bounce back from David Njoku and the consistency. I need to see rookie Harold Fannin Jr. prove that he can do it at this level. And then we talked about the run game. I think the O-line is going to be good. They're going back to that wide zone scheme, the commitment to the run game. But 4 of those 5 starters are 30 years plus, and all 4 of those guys are in the last year of their contracts. So there's just way more question marks on that side of the ball.
How about the defense? If I saw this stat correctly, hasn't allowed a 300-yard passer in 28 straight games.
Yeah, and it's not even like the second team in the league is not even close. It's like 13 or 14 games. It's a crazy stat, and every once in a while I'll see it, and I'll make sure I write about it, and then it's like, okay, you can't write about it every week. And part of me thinks, well, they weren't great on defense last year, and if you're getting beat and teams start running the ball, like it's not a perfect stat, but it's still impressive. And the fact that it's twice as many as anybody else in the league, I think it's certainly worth mentioning.
Yeah, that's a wild stat. How about the 53-man roster has 24 new players?
Yeah, and it's got 12 rookies, Chud. Like the 24, I mean, that's a big turnover, but I don't think that is that unusual in an offseason, right? The NFL, there's so much movement, especially at the bottom of the rosters. What stuck out to me, and I wrote a story, it's up on Brown Zone somewhere. I wrote it last week, is keeping 12 rookies. I mean, how many years do we talk about, okay, they got 9 draft picks, and when it's only a couple years ago, right? When the expectations are higher, when everybody loved the roster, it was, well, there's no way they're going to keep 9 rookies, right? So why I have all these draft picks, there's not room for 9 rookies on this roster. Well, not only did they keep all 6 draft picks, and we're not counting Judkins, so you'd have to add one more if and when he signs. Not only did they keep all 6 draft picks, they kept 6 undrafted rookies. Now, one of them's Isaiah Bond, and he would have been drafted, right? But that's still, that's still a rookie. It's still an undrafted guy. And then there's 5. There's 5 run-of-the-mill undrafted rookies. And the fact that the Browns kept that many, one, I think speaks to the lack of depth across the roster because they felt like these guys are upgrades. And also, it speaks to a roster in transition. And we've known this, right? There's been signs, and I'm not even saying the Browns have been hiding it, but you look at free agency. They let some guys go. They don't make any big splashes, right? The biggest signings at free agency, I mean, you can count Joe Flacco, but he's, $4 million, were Joe Tryon-Shoyinka at defensive end and Malik Collins at defensive tackle. And neither of them, long-term deals, neither of them huge money deals. So if you don't invest a ton in free agency, and they didn't have the resources because they're in such tight salary cap situation, they didn't go after their long-term quarterback in this offseason unless it happens to be Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders, but it wasn't a big resource that they invested there. So you can see all these signs, but I just think the 12 rookies on the opening roster is just another significant sign that, hey, it doesn't mean this team's can't win games this year, but it means that there's certainly an eye on the future because part of keeping so many young guys is, one, you want to see if they're any good, you want to evaluate them, and then 2 is you try to develop them. And you go, okay, if the goal is to win in 2026 or whatever, it's a realistic goal, then these guys have a year under their belt. And you see if Isaiah Bond can play or Gage Larverdin or whoever it is. You see if they belong, and if not, you can get rid of them. I just saw 12 rookies. It was a lot, and it was worth bringing up because I think it speaks a lot to where this team is right now.
Pretty healthy heading into week 1, right?
Yeah, we're going to have to see the official injury report Friday. But Mike Hall Jr. is the only guy that didn't practice at all yesterday. He's got a knee. He missed camp on PUP, so he's not going to play Sunday. A couple guys were limited. Denzel Ward, Mahmoud Diabate, Ethan Postic, the center, had a knee injury. I would expect all of them to play. I just don't want to say that because Stefanski wouldn't go there on Wednesday, so I don't want to go there right now. But I would think outside of Hall, everybody plays or most everybody plays.
All right, Scott, I am ready to get to prediction time for the Browns season, for the Super Bowl, and this week's game, unless you have anything else you want to hit before we get to that.
I had 2 notes, and I covered them both. We're good, bud.
All right. Hey, we are – you know what? We're in mid-season form.
I love it.
Love
I need
it.
a bye week.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. What order do you want to go? Do you want to go Browns overall record, Browns prediction this week, Super Bowl teams? Which order?
Let's go big to small. Let's go Super Bowl teams, Browns record, Sunday.
All right. You want me to start with my Super Bowl teams?
Yeah, why not?
All right. So I actually did some thinking about this. And, last year I put the Packers in as kind of my surprise team. And I put the Chiefs in. You actually, I think, hit the Super Bowl right on, right?
I did.
Didn't you have? And I think you picked the Eagles to win it, didn't you?
Yeah, I got it right. Yep.
Yeah, man, that's a hole in one. You had, or did you have the Bills? I think you had the Chiefs.
No, I had it right. Yeah, I think I had the whole matchup.
You had it.
Yeah.
You had the whole matchup right on. And there's a couple teams that I think could make this year. I think the Packers are a team that could make it again. I think the Vikings are a surprise team that could maybe make it. I think a lot of people like the Lions. But I'm not going to go with any of those. I'm putting the Eagles back in the Super Bowl. I think they have enough talent on both sides of the ball, and I just think they're that good that they can bounce back and defend their title and go to the Super Bowl again. Now, injuries could change that. There are things that could change that, but I just don't want to go on a limb and just pick a team to just try to be like the hero pick, right? So I think the Packers have a legitimate shot. Some people may even say the 49ers, but basically, really, I only see a handful of teams that could legitimately make the Super Bowl. I'm putting the Eagles in from the NFC. Now, in the AFC, you could say, hey, it's finally the Bills' time. Finally, Josh Allen. You could say Burrow and the Bengals. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if they bounce back, although their defense is not great.
Yep.
And the Ravens are probably a favorite pick of most. I really think that you can't go wrong with Ravens-Bills. But, Scott, I'm going Super Bowl rematch. I'm just putting Kansas City back there because that's what I know.
Wow.
I think Mahomes has a bounce back. I don't think Kelsey's done yet. I think their receivers are gonna be better. And I just think there's something about it. I'm going rematch, and I'm picking Kansas City to bounce back and win it all. Chiefs over Eagles.
Wow. So you got the Chiefs going 4 straight years and winning 3 out of 4. Wow.
I do.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue with that, right? Andy Reid, best coach. Patrick Mahomes, probably the best quarterback. Yeah, it's interesting, Chud. Well, I got to tell you, I didn't go with either of those teams. I thought about the Eagles. The Chiefs, I mean, I think I probably picked the Chiefs the last 4 years. I don't know. I feel like the AFC is going to be harder this year. I think their division's going to be more difficult this year, which could make it harder to get home field, which hasn't always mattered to the Chiefs, but it's still important to some level. So I changed it up, Chud. I went Bills. Bills get it done. I have them winning the Super Bowl. And maybe it's because I was watching that America's Team documentary and I saw him lose 4 in a row, and that was in my mind. But Josh Allen's so good. They got players everywhere. I just like that team that comes so close, and I think Josh Allen's good enough to get it done. And then I struggled in the NFC, and I actually, before we got to season preview section, it's actually in today's paper. I'll post some stories online throughout the rest of the week. I had originally Detroit. So I had Detroit or Buffalo beating Detroit, which talk about a Lake Erie Super Bowl that's minus the Browns. But or a Great Lakes Super Bowl that's minus the Browns. But I switched it up and went Packers. And the Micah Parsons thing played into it, but I was also kind of torn about it. So I got Bills beating the Packers. I think the Ravens are going to be really good. I got them winning the division. In fact, they're my only AFC North team in the playoffs, and I got Lamar winning the MVP. But I go Bills over Packers.
Wow, only one AFC North in the playoffs, huh?
Yeah, I think I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to do for Pittsburgh what it wants. Yeah, and I think the Cincinnati defense is going to be its Achilles heel. I mean, I know how good Joe Burrow is, but I just don't think the defense is any better than it was last year, and it killed them last year.
Yeah, I can't argue the Bills pick, and I thought about going Bills. I thought about going Ravens. I mean, I definitely think it's one of those 3, Ravens, Bills, or Chiefs. I don't think that's going out on a limb.
Yeah.
But I just, how I am. I need the Bills to show me they can do it before they do it, before I go out on that limb and pick them to do it. But wouldn't be surprised. I like that. That's a good Super Bowl, Bills, Packers. So we'll see what happens. You got the Bills winning it all. We both have the AFC winning it all. All right, Browns record. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this other than to say, typically when people think they're going to be amazing, I hedge back a little bit. When people think they're going to completely suck, I go up a little bit. And, listen, maybe it's just destiny. Maybe they're trying to win 2 or 3 games to get into that quarterback spot. But I don't know. I just can't buy it. Stefanski, it's not like he wants to get fired. Those guys, I just don't. I don't think they're sitting there going, "Oh, we want to suck so we can have a better draft pick." I don't think so, unless they're just that bad. But, right. Scott, I don't think they're that bad. I think that It comes down to quarterback play, and that's a question, right? But I'm going to go over the 5.5 over under. And listen, would I be completely shocked if they won 3 games? No, they did it last year. But I wouldn't be shocked if they won 9 or 10. I mean, they could do it. But I'm going to put them at 7 and 10.
Well, I have 7 as well, Chud. I think they get to the over. I toyed with 6. I went with 7. I tend to be a little bit optimistic with the season preview. For all the reasons we talked about early, I just think they're due to get some bounces. I think Joe Flacco is going to be a steadying force early. Now, if Joe Flacco gets hurt, or they lose their first 3 games, and all of a sudden it's when's Dylan Gabriel going to play, or when Shadur Sanders going to play, right? Like, I could see it going sideways. Like, it's not hard to see that, but I think it's going to be better. I think Kevin Stefanski has his team where it wants to be. Is it talented enough on offense? Probably not to do what, to match up with all these other teams. But can they win some games early and hang around and build some confidence? I think yes. So we're both at 7 and 10. And I just want to say, it is Lake Erie. I had to look at a map to make sure that Detroit was also close to Lake Erie, and I wasn't getting my lakes wrong. It is. It's all Lake Erie Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's funny. If they start 0-6 though, our prediction could be wrong. I think they need to win it. That
they're not going. They're not going 7-4 the rest of the way, Chud. If they start 0-6,
we need some early wins.
Yeah.
All right, Scott, I got 1 minute left, and then I got to roll.
Yep.
I'm going to let you do the prediction for Sunday first.
Well, if they're going to get to 7, I think they might need to win the opener. I know Cincinnati's revved up for it, but I got the Browns 24-23 on Sunday. I think it's key to get off to a good start. We know how hard the beginning schedule is. They need this one.
Scott, this is unbelievable. I'm going to send you – I actually wrote it down on a piece of paper. I'm going to send you a picture later today because I got to run here. But I have the exact same score, 24-23 Browns. Unbelievable. We did not talk about this beforehand.
So it's either going to be 24-23 Browns or 40-0 Cincinnati. One of those two.
I just think, you know what? They did it 2 years ago. They've had success against Burrow in the past. The Browns, I think, have won 9 of the last 14 matchups. I just think I think the place will be on. I think the place will be electric. They'll do some things early to get the crowd into it, and I just think they'll find a way to get it done. I mean, we could be stupid, but I also think, the over/under, the line. I think if it was in Cincinnati, I mean, obviously it would be much more, right?
Yeah,
I know they're a dog at home, but I don't know. I'm just feeling it. We might be off, but 24-23. I can't believe we picked the same score.
Well, there you go, Chud. Huh? That's a good way to start. Well, I don't know if it is or not, but we'll call it a good way to start. Cool. Well, I know you got to run, Chud. I appreciate it as always. I appreciate everybody listening. We'll do this again next week. We'll have a Bengals game to talk about. We'll have a Joe Flacco trip to Baltimore to talk about for week 2. So I'm glad we got the season here off and running. So thanks, Chud, as always. Thanks, everybody, for listening. This has been another episode of the Zone Coverage Podcast, and you could read all my work at brownzone.com. Thanks.